Hello everyone, and welcome to a video on using one of my favorite online tools for instruction in the classroom. It's a program or a website called PeerGrade.io, and I have found this to be absolutely invaluable in my class. Basically, here's what it does. Students submit work. When they hit submit, it goes to the screen of other students anonymously, and those students evaluate or grade it with a rubric that the teacher puts into the system. Now, I teach the traditional AP World History class, but I also teach AP World History in a virtual school, and this is absolutely essential. And also, if you find yourself in a situation where you have to make assignments from home, let's say with a global pandemic, this will be very useful for you. And we don't know what normal is really going to be like next school year. So if you're not familiar with this website, I would learn it because I highly recommend it for your class. So let's walk through it here. I'm going to sign into my account, then show you how I'll set things up to make an account for you as a student, and then we'll do an assignment through here for our asynchronous work. So you see my classes here, and there's you all. And then I go up to participants, and you'll see a code, and I'll send that code, and you will go, or students would go to this website and create an account much like this. You put the code in, you hit next, you enter your name and a password, and I would ask you not to use your real name here because I might show the dashboard to the class and what grades you have gotten, what grades you gave others, so you might just want to make up a fake name, and then you sign up. And when you do this, it takes you to this screen where you see the assignments that are due. Now here's an SAQ. And you'll see it's a type 2, it's got an image there, and you'll see A, B, and C that we learned about today. And then to submit it, you'll hit submit, start submission, and then go to text and click on that. That'll give you a text box to write in. Notice you can also submit it as a file, or you can use Google Drive. It would submit it into a Google Drive. And I don't use Google Classroom, but a colleague of mine uses it a lot. And when she uses PeerGrade, she has it aligned to Google Classroom, so it'll automatically go straight into her class there. So when you click on text, it takes you to the text box. And you would just type in your answer here. Remember, you're going to label these. We want students to label these A, B, and C. So they just write their answer right here. And when they're satisfied with their answers, they go to the bottom to submit. And we'll ask them one more time if you're sure, and you say yes. What happens when they submit? It gives them the opportunity to start reviewing. So when you click on this, and it shows you another student's SAQ right here. And on this side, you see the answers that another student wrote. And this is all anonymous, by the way. And it's set up to where you will never get your own, and you'll never get the same person twice in a row. So there's a randomness to it, but it also controls how that randomness takes place. So you'll read this, and here you see the rubric on the right that I created here. And it tells exactly what the student has to do, and it gives them a binary decision, a yes or a no. Do they get the point or do they not? And I have this set to where they have to add comments. They have to tell why it did or did not get points. So we would write probably more than that. You do the same thing for here. It's a yes or no. Good job. And then finally here, if you're going to click no or yes, you have to tell what they did wrong. Notice that the program's actually saying, are you sure you're writing enough? Other people are writing more. So maybe you want to add some more to it. Let's look now what this looks like from my end as a teacher. So I'm in period 6 right now. You see my classes here. And you see I use this a lot. Here are assignments that I use it for. And by the way, I want to note that this is great for SAQs, but you can use this for so many things. We're going to look this week at LEQs, long essay questions, and document-based questions where there are certain rubric tasks that students have to do, like contextualization, or writing a thesis statement, or sourcing the document, right? Why the source of a document is relevant to how we understand historical sources. You can do that all in here in simple assignments. So we're going to go down to this SAQ right here, and I have blurred out the names of my students, but on settings you see where you actually enter what the students will see. This is the type 2 SAQ from Japan in the 19th century, and I created A, B, and C, and there is the setting. Now we look over to the rubric here, and I put this in the rubric for part A, part B, and part C. I tell the student what they should be looking for specifically, and they give some great examples of what the most common answers might be. Not an exclusive list, but to give them an idea of the type of things they look for. So I do that for A, B, and C. And when students are done, they hit submit. See, they're not just writing short answer question or component, they're looking at other students' work and grading that work as well. Now, if you go into feedback here, I can select how many reviews you'll do. So if I want a student to just do 2 peer reviews, I'll set it to 2, 3, 4, or whatever. Now let's look over now to overview and show you what it looks like from my end here. So what I'm looking at here in these 4 columns is on the left-hand side, this is what I would see during a live session in class. On the left-hand side, I see that you have about 6 students who haven't submitted yet, and I see the next column to the right, see the number of students who are giving feedback. They're grading other students. And then I have this particular lesson set to where you react to the feedback, you respond to it, and it goes back to the grader. That's optional, but I have it set that way. And then on the other side, I see that 7 students are completely done here. So this is very useful. Walk across here, you can see the live progress from one step to the other as they go. And if students are taking too long to submit, especially, let's say, second semester, I can click that. It will cut them in the middle of their writing and force them into the next phase. Now, I'm looking here at the results, and again, I blurred my students' names. On the left-hand side, I see every student, and I'll pick one, and here I see what 3 students have done in terms of grading this student, and their grades are they're all over the place. Look, one of them someone gave them a 3 out of 3, a 1 out of 3, and a 2 out of 3. And when I scroll down here, I see exactly who gave it what. Did they say yes or no, and what kind of comments they left in terms of why they gave it that grade. This gives me incredible insight on how well they understand rubrics and how well they understand grading. I can tell you, as a grader for over 10 years for the AP test, nothing helps me teach the essays and understand the mechanics of the essays better than grading them. And if the students can do that, it's going to help them immensely. If they are forced to find the scoreable points in writing, and they're able to do that, they'll know what they have to do when they write. Now, if I click right here, I can see what this student actually wrote, A, B, and C. So I can read that. And I'll just say this, sometimes I just look at the grades that other students gave it, and then I'll grade it myself. So I'll hit see submission and go over there and just give it a grade. But by about the 3rd or 4th time, I start to grade the reviewers. I grade the students on how accurate their grade was in terms of the one that I gave it. And I'll be honest with you, by 2nd semester, when students have gotten good at this, if all 3 students match and give the same grade, I don't even grade the original anymore. I just put that grade in the grade book. And of course, I allow students to contest that, and I will moderate that and adjust if necessary. I'm going to hide the submission again, and notice at the bottom here, you can go down to that arrow right there and click download all submissions, and it puts it into a folder on your drive, and you open that folder, and there is a series of folders named after every student with their work in those folders, which I've blurred here again because you see it's the names of the students here. So this is PeerGrade. Now I want to give you a little gift. I told you I use this a lot, and here is a DBQ, a type 1 DBQ, remember has a historian's quote as the stimulus with A, B, and C, and here's a scoring guide for that. And you can use this in class, or I would recommend you create your own PeerGrade account, because if you do, you can just cut and paste the scoring guide right in your assignment where it says rubric. Here's another type 2 SAQ with a scoring guide. Here's a type 1 again, which is the quote from historian. We go down here, and we see a type 3 or 4 where there's no stimulus. So you have 13 pages of SAQ goodness here to use in your class. The only thing I ask is that you please don't share this with other people, because when they get online, it's done. You know, they get posted out there, they end up on the internet. So that's the only caveat here. But anyway, this is PeerGrade, one of my favorite tools, and I will see you guys live tomorrow.